Hello, and welcome to AI Future or Fiction. Today we explore why we ignore climate signals. We hope to understand this mystery. From space, AI already sees the disaster, but we choose not to listen. Why do we wait for the fire if we can predict it? It's the paradox of seeing tomorrow and preferring silence. Let's begin with our story. Our current institutions are like ships designed for rapid storms. They are not prepared for the slow and silent rise of sea levels. Expert Thomas Hale defines this phenomenon as long problems. These are crises that advance at a pace our politics cannot process. We build systems to respond to invasions or immediate financial crises. However, we become paralyzed by threats that take decades to explode. Imagine you are a political leader seeking votes today. Would you risk your career for a disaster that hasn't happened yet? This is the architecture of delay. It is a structural trap where the benefit of acting is completely invisible to the voter. Meanwhile, the cost of inaction falls on future generations. Our mind always prefers the known over the uncertainty of tomorrow. AI provides detailed maps of an avoidable collapse, but our laws remain blind to what has not physically happened. Can we redesign governance before time runs out? Perhaps the real risk is not climate change. Perhaps it is our institutional incapacity to legislate for the future. The present holds us captive while tomorrow crumbles in silence. AI no longer just observes Earth from space. Now, thanks to global initiatives, the planet has a digital nervous system. Satellites and thousands of sensors capture patterns invisible to the human eye. While you rest, advanced algorithms analyze the behavior of rivers. These systems calculate the probability of floods weeks before they occur. The UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction leads this shift towards absolute precision. We no longer depend on simple climatic intuition or luck. We have moved from uncertainty to an almost perfect algorithmic probability. This technology converts future catastrophe into actionable and avoidable data in the present. But this digital clarity confronts us with a profound existential dilemma. If AI detects the danger, why do leaders hesitate? The warning is already written in the code of our systems. Perhaps the true mystery is not when the storm will arrive. The enigma is why we choose to be blind to a truth that the machine has already coldly calculated. Imagine you have the power to stop a tragedy that hasn't happened yet. AI warns you of an 80% probability of collapse. But to prevent it, you must invest millions today. Here arises the leader's deepest fear, the false alarm. If you act and the disaster doesn't occur, no one will thank your foresight. They will accuse you of wasting resources on a digital ghost. Prevention is an invisible success. No one erects monuments for floods that never came, nor are there applause for forests that didn't burn. Therefore, many rulers prefer to wait for physical proof. They need the real fire to justify their action before the cameras. They seek absolute certainty where science only offers probabilities. This demand for proof becomes a weapon of mass delay. While the machine coldly calculates risks, the human waits for the tragedy to feel secure in intervening. Is it possible that we prefer a real catastrophe over unprovable salvation? Perhaps the greatest danger of AI is not its margin of error. The real risk is our inability to celebrate the tragedies we manage to avoid. Imagine a command center where screens flicker with an electric urgency. Artificial intelligence has processed trillions of data and the verdict is absolute. The water will rise in 48 hours. However, in the marble corridors, the silence is sepulchral. The digital warning has sunk into an inbox that no one will open on time. This is our first scenario, the inertia of the established order. Here, technology works flawlessly, but our organization is a labyrinth of invisible walls. One department receives the red alert. Even so, it has no authority to move a single rescue machine. Knowledge stops before a missing seal. Bureaucratic silos act as prisons for algorithmic truth. While the machine counts the seconds with mathematical precision, humans argue about budgets and jurisdiction. Institutional ego weighs more than survival itself. It is a choreography of paralysis in the face of a disaster that already has a date. What good is having the vision of a god if our hands are tied? Perhaps the greatest risk is not a flaw in the code. The real danger is a system that prefers collapse rather than breaking its own rules. Are we designed to ignore that which would force us to change? Imagine a world where the weight of responsibility becomes unbearable. In this scenario, leaders do not ignore technology, they hide behind it. Here, the myth of artificial intelligence as an infallible oracle is born. You delegate the most painful decisions to the algorithm to wash your hands of any political consequence. If the machine fails, the fault lies with the code, never with the ruler. You face an automated trust that is, in reality, a shell of cowardice. By treating the system as a sacred entity, you forget that data carries our own biases. What happens when mathematical coldness decides which lives must be sacrificed? The risk is not just a miscalculation. It is the total loss of your own will in front of the screen. We become passive spectators of our destiny, following orders dictated by a black box. We have built a digital mirror that returns our shadows under the guise of objectivity. If you let the algorithm choose for you, what space remains for ethics or justice? Perhaps in seeking a truth without errors, we have designed the perfect prison for our freedom. Imagine a social contract that doesn't wait for you to suffer before it starts protecting you. In this new world, artificial intelligence acts as humanity's nervous system. Here, bureaucracy yields to the urgency of precise data. Resources are distributed automatically before the storm reaches your door. It is the era of adaptive social protection. If satellites predict a drought, money reaches farmers before the soil cracks. These anticipatory action models break the cycle of delayed reaction. There are no pending signatures or political speeches that delay necessary aid. The system responds to the probability of pain, not to the tally of damages. We have redesigned governance so that prevention is the heartbeat of our institutions. This harmony between machine and ethics presents us with a final enigma. If we already have the tools to dissolve tragedy, what stops us from activating them? Perhaps the most difficult change is not programming the perfect algorithm. The true challenge is accepting a society where life has priority over control. Are we ready for a future where disaster is just an error corrected in time? We have traversed the map of a tomorrow that already breathes in our servers. We saw how inertia and the fear of error can silence the clearest warnings. But we also glimpsed a world where tragedy stops before it is born. Now, you face the final question: is this future an inevitable reality or just a fiction? Artificial intelligence is not destiny, but the mirror of our decisions. It delivers detailed data to us, but you decide if that code becomes salvation. We are not waiting for technology to mature, but for our political will to awaken. It is we who grant power to the warning or to silence. Every algorithm we ignore and every alert we archive define who we are. Ultimately, the digital nervous system will only be useful if we are willing to listen to its pulse. The true paradox lies in the human heart that must choose between the comfort of the present and the uncertainty of tomorrow. Will you be the one to choose prevention, or will you merely be a spectator of the end? The future is a blank page that only we can write today. The answer will determine if our story is one of survival or of oblivion. In this game of shadows, the light of reason remains yours. Thank you for joining us today in this exploration of the paradox of early action. We hope that this account invites you to reflect critically on the role of technology in our survival. If you are passionate about discovering the futures we are building together, subscribe and become an active part of our community. Your perspective is fundamental in this much-needed global debate. Ultimately, the machine only shows us the way. Will we be able to walk it before the trail disappears?